are going to be live in 3, 2, 1. Hey, welcome to our last day on the Stubaicup online. Today we have our special surprise guest, Tom, here with us. Hi,
hey,
Tom.
Hey, everyone. Hi.
So, Tom, how are you today?
Well, very good. It's a special day for me because I just became a father for the second time 2 days ago. My little baby girl, Leonor, was born on Saturday morning. So yeah, it's a bit fuzzy at the moment. I'm still hanging up there, you know, in the clouds. So, but yeah, now beautiful. Really happy to be here, and yeah, thank you again for having me. It's really cool.
We hope you're not too tired.
No, I'm not too tired. I'm getting used to this, you know, with X-Alps and Atlantic sailing. And like that. Right? Yeah. Well, actually, the other way around is interesting too, because in the next 3 months, I don't think I'll sleep much. You know, my 2 years old is not sleeping yet, and the baby just born. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but yeah, I'm up for the challenge.
Nice, really nice. So Tom, who are you? What are you doing? What you already did in life?
So I guess I'm here because I'm a professional paragliding pilot. I'm lucky enough to make a living out of paragliding, out of my passion. I've been flying since I'm 14 years old, and I'm 35 now. So I flew for more than 20 years. And I'm from the flatlands of Belgium, which is quite interesting for a pro paragliding pilot, a country without mountains. 10 years ago, I created the Search project, which is basically the idea is to travel around the world and search for the most beautiful places to fly with my friends and my team. I also took part, I think, 7 times already in the RedBull X-Alps. So I was 21 years old when I did my first race. It changed quite a lot since then, but I'm going for number 8 this year. And every time I do it, I say, okay, never again. And yeah, after a year, you kind of forget and you come back. Yeah, and I spent the last 10 years traveling around the world. I've covered maybe 60 different countries. I spent 6 summers in a row in Pakistan to fly long distance. And my specialty really it's BV flying. So yeah, I crossed many different mountain ranges. The other day I was calculating, and I think I covered more than maybe 11,000 kilometers in hike and fly.
Wow!
And since 3 years we have a sailboat. There's a boat here in my back. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
This is a copy of the Search sailboat, which is a 12-meter sailboat, and with that boat we travel around the world with my family and with the production team sometimes to just search for beautiful flying spots. So yeah, life has been pretty intense, and yeah, I'm really excited to share it with you tonight.
Wow, really impressive, Tom. Thanks. So can you might tell us something about more from Bivouac flying?
Yeah, well, the BV flying, it's such an interesting world, because when I started traveling with BV, like BV flying, it was the beginning. Actually, when we started, we were not going really fast. We were not going so far. I remember my first X-Alps, we still were using paper maps, and we would go for 50K, 60Ks, land in the mountains, be happy with that. But the good thing is that the gear has been evolving so much in the last years. Now we have really light gear. The first X-Alps, I think I had 14 kilos with me, and now we have backpacks that are like maybe 6 kilos, 7 kilos. So it's super interesting. And for me, I mean, the most interesting part of paragliding, it's going and getting lost, and it's the adventure. I love competition and stuff, but really the BV flying it's great. So I've done a few adventures. I crossed the Pyrenees alone from west to east. Then we went to New Zealand with my friend Ferdinand Skelven, and we crossed the Southern Alps. That took quite a while. It took like 25 days to cover 1,000 kilometers. And then, yeah, I got lost in the mountains, in the Himalayas, in the Andes, pretty much everywhere. And every time it's different, you know, and I think this is just magic to be able to climb a mountain, to take off in the morning on the east face, to cover some distance without knowing where you're going to land. And yeah, and try to cross a mountain range like this. So at the beginning, it was more about speed, like trying to cover big distances quite fast. And now for me, really, it's about going out there, spending time in the mountains, enjoying myself and the good flying conditions. And also I kind of like the effort of walking. So if it's 2 or 3 days of rain, I'm happy to cover distance on the ground. This is part of the game, I guess. But really, like, the new gear has made it so much easier. Last year we went to India with my friend Horacio, and we had the tent, sleeping bag, mattress. We had clothing to fly up to 6,500 meters. And I think my backpack was around 14 kilos, which is amazing when you think that you're still carrying a tent and everything, and food and everything with you. So this has made a huge difference. And I guess also it's because of people like, for example, Pierre Bouilloux. You might have heard of him. He was the owner of Super. He started Super basically, and he was one of the first historically to go on bivy adventures. So he was really working to develop new gear and lighter gear and more comfortable gear. And at the time, Super was probably one of the only company making harnesses. So they really came with everything, and they really started this. And I think, I mean, I remember reading articles of him going from France to Switzerland and back in 3 or 4 days, and you know, and we were all amazed. We were like, "Wow, this is incredible!" Now with the tools that we have, you have a cell phone in your pocket, you have Google Earth, you have maps, you have windy, you have weather forecast, and you can just go anywhere in the mountains, and you can really cover long distance. So it's super interesting. And also what is super interesting is that everything is to be made. I mean, there's still a lot of things to discover, a lot of things to do, a lot of lines to fly. And so we kind of feel like when we go out there in the Himalayas, we are pioneers again, you know. And this is great. I mean, in paragliding, this is one of the sport where you can still be a pioneer. But yeah.
I've heard of your flight in Himalaya.
Yeah, I mean, the Himalayas was and still is one of my favorite places to fly, you know, because it's imagine the Alps, imagine you know, I can see the mountains in your back in the background. Well, you multiply this by 3 or 4. You take everything out of the valley floor, no villages, no roads, no nothing. You put big glaciers out there, and you get conditions to fly up to 7,000 meters. So it's just a different world, and it's can be very rough, but actually it's not so hard to fly. The only thing is that you have to be ready to get into remote areas. So when we fly in Pakistan, we most of the time flying with oxygen when we fly high, very high. And also you fly with food for 3 to 4 days in case you just land somewhere to be able to come back out, you know. So, yeah, I spent 6 summers in Pakistan. The first time I went there, it was with my friend Ramon Morillas. You probably know him. He was the paramotor world champion. And Ramon wanted to actually break the altitude world record. So I was there to help him and to follow him and to make photos and videos. And that's where I got in love with. Actually, that's where I asked my wife to marry me. It was in a small village in the middle of the Karakum. So yeah, we're looking forward to go back there and to do some more flying as soon as the pandemic let us go there and let us travel, because this is high quality flying. This is very impressive.
Nice. So you prepared a small video for us, so all the people imagine what you're talking about and why your eyes are like blinking. So maybe it's the perfect time now to watch this short video for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, this is a video that I only show in presentations. It's not on the web and it's not on social medias and stuff. So I like to show it. It's a small compilation of the best moments we had with the search project team in the last years, you know, and I think you're gonna like it. So let me share my screen first. Okay, There you go, up. And this is here.
Perfect.
Put it in full screen. There you go. Enjoy.
We will. Tom, is there a music? Because maybe with your earpods, we can't hear any music.
Ah, yeah, there is music. You don't hear it?
No. Or like,
Okay, it's time to tell me. Yeah, I don't know how to share it with you guys. Anyway, I can talk on the footage if you like. Oh, that's sad because the music is really good. So that's some of the footage that we took during the. I have the music in my ear, so I'm just gonna take it like this. This is some of the best shots we have, but the music is really cool. So I'll send you the link, and then you can send it to people or put it in comments. But anyway, this is some of the footage that we took during the search project when we crossed Africa from north to south. So with my friend Horacio Lorenz and with the search team, we went from Egypt to Cape Town, and we traveled across 10 countries in Africa. And then there's some of the footage that we took in Turkey, in Pakistan, on the search sailing boats, in Himalayas, of course. It's a little bit of a compilation of what we do. This is my wife right there. Yeah, actually, I mean, the search project, it's a very interesting project in itself, because basically we just want to push the boundaries of the sport and try to enjoy and meet people. Paragliding, I think, is a beautiful excuse to just go and travel around the world. So there you go. That's the end of it. Let me go back to normal. There you go. I'm back. Sorry for that. I thought you had the music and I could hear it in my so I was like enjoying myself.
Awesome shot.
So there you go. I can hear you now again.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah,
so,
very
yeah.
nice pictures and shots, and it's just magical.
Really impressive.
Yes, I mean, it's just the work of the team. That's you know, when we started traveling, when we crossed Africa, actually, we were on super low budget. It was 10 years ago, and we just brought a team with us. We spent 4 months traveling with a van and a bus, and we were eating pasta and rice every day and stuff. But we really were taking care of production and really working on footage, trying to bring some nice content back to the sponsors. And also, I think at the time we were some of the first to do web episodes and actually share it online every week. So every week we would edit some episodes. You can still see it on the search project, Instagram or Vimeo or YouTube, whatever. And it was incredible because it really brought a team of people following, and then we thought, okay, well, we have something here. We should keep on going. And so we started with Africa, but then we went for 3 months on a sailboat in French Polynesia on a catamaran, and traveled there for a while with the paramotors. And then it was only the beginning. And now it's we have a long list of countries where we want to go, and we want to do some more adventures.
Cool, very nice. So we have already some questions from our
Cool.
I think we maybe just start, and I think we'll just lead us to some other nice stories of your life.
Yeah,
So,
excellent.
One question: what was your hardest night on the mountain during a bivouac flying session?
It's a good. Oh well, I know which one it was. It's a good question. Actually, when we decided to, well, 1 year we decided to cross the Karakorum range with my friend Ramon Marias, and so it was 300 kilometers to cover on glaciers mostly. It's like the Ispar, the Biafo, and the Baltoro Glacier, and it leads at the end to the K2 area, Broad Peak, Gasherbrum 1 and 2. It's like 8,000 meter mountain down there at the end of the glacier. And that day, I mean, we stayed for like many days in a cave waiting for better weather with Ramon. And one day the sky opened and I decided to go for it. And I had a beautiful flight. I flew 80 kilometers inside the Baltoro Glacier. I arrived next to Broad Peak. It's actually where my friend Antoine Girard broke the altitude world record. And I even entered the valley towards K2. And I think that day would have been possible to soar K2 and maybe go up. But I was not brave enough. It was very hectic conditions. But anyway, so that evening I landed on the glacier at the bottom of the valley. But you have to imagine that the valley floor there, it's at 4,800 meters. So it's like the altitude of Mont Blanc. It's the valley floor in Pakistan where I landed. So you arrive there at 60 kilometers per hour, full speed on the ice. It was a bit tricky. And then to go back to civilization, I had to cross a pass. And it's a complicated one. And I think it tops up almost at 6,200 meters. And I was alone with all my gear in the back, and I had ice axe, crampons, ropes, everything with me. And so it was super hard. And the whole way up, I could feel some strong winds. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get at the top, and I'm probably maybe not going to be able to fly down. And so when I arrived on top, the other side is much steeper, and it was not very safe to go down hiking alone. Normally you would do it with ropes and with ice crews and stuff. And so I was sitting there, and it was backwind, super strong, really freezing cold. I was exhausted, and I almost thought about maybe I should better just fall asleep here and that's it, you know. But then when the sun came out, the wind flipped, the breeze got perfect, and I could fly down. And that was, I guess, really the best relief for me. It was to fly down from 6,000 meters all the way to the valley floor on the other side. And then I walked for one more day to the village and where my friends were waiting for me. And it was actually not the first time, but one of the first time that people go this way in the Baltoro Glacier. I think at the time we were only 3 or 4 pilots to have fly in that area. So, and you can imagine the view there. That day I flew up to almost 7,000 meters, and the view up there is just mind blowing. You can see most of the Karakorum when you fly there. So that was the hard one. But of course, I mean, you can always name also the hard days and nights during the X-Alps when we have the night pass. Last time I used my night pass to make it to Monaco. It was the last evening. And when I landed, I realized I was 76 kilometers away from Monaco, and I had to cover it in 20 hours. So I just walked nonstop through the night, almost 80K. And that was hard too. But when you know you make it to the end, you're just happy to do it.
Push.
Yeah.
The limit.
Perfect. Yeah, the next question is about the X-Alps. So the question is, first, congratulations on reaching Monaco. And what are your goals for 2021? And when do you think will Kriegel be beaten?
Yeah, that's an pretty interesting question. So yeah, for me, I've always said that my main goal was to make it to Monaco, and I took part in the X-Alps. I really enjoyed the X-Alps since the very beginning, but I have to say that, I mean, I was very busy many of the years. Sometimes I was in Pakistan 10 days before the start of the X-Alps, so I was prepared. I was always quite prepared, but I never put all my energy into it until 2 years ago, where I said, I really want to make it to Monaco. So I trained properly. I prepared properly. I built a really good team also. And we made it to Monaco. And then I thought, okay, if I make it to Monaco, then that's it. I'm happy with it. You know, it's not about. I mean, I'm a competitive person, but I don't get too excited about beating anyone else. You know, it's just more about myself and being with the team and enjoying. And it's a beautiful adventure. It's super intense, but also you make friends with the other competitors. The you know, the atmosphere is quite incredible. It's one of those races where, okay, you're racing, but it doesn't matter so much. What really matters is how far and how fast you can go. So I really enjoyed it actually 2 years ago. I for the first time, I said, wow, I really want to come back. If I don't subscribe next time, I will miss it for sure. Because I enjoyed myself. I flew quite well, and I was just having a great time. And also, a few days before the end, I was in 5th positions, and I really thought I could make something happen. And I was, you know, maybe not the podium, but I think top 5 was really possible. And then I made quite a mistake when I arrived in Monteviso. My GPS, you know, I don't know what happened, but basically I had no cell phone coverage. So people told me that I didn't make the radius because actually the instrument didn't send it. Anyway, so I got stuck there for like an hour to fix the problem, and I lost a bit of time. Anyway, I want to come back this time because I think I can do better. I almost want to do better, and also just because I enjoy it so much. I think they're going to put a very interesting line this year. It might be really different than other times. We will see what happens, but I've heard rumors. We will see how it goes, and so it's going to be super exciting. And also, I mean, the level is going, you know, up every time. Every 2 years, I look at my computer, I look at the selection, and I think, wow, this time it's going to be harder. And it is. Each time it's faster. You have to think that in 2007, when I did my first race, we took, I think, 13 days to cover 750 kilometers. This time, it's like last year was 1,250 kilometers. It's not the double, but almost. I mean, it's a lot more. And we do it in 8 days, 9 days, you know, and the faster one goes almost in a week, which is crazy when you think about it. So it's so exciting to see how fast we can get this time. Also, there's a lot of improvements done in the gear. The harnesses are super light. It's like now we have less than 1 kilo harnesses. We have gliders that are going to be between 2.5 to 3 kilos. Everyone will have super light gliders, which are super performant. So it's exciting. And now to talk about Kriegel, to be honest, I really do think, and I say it with humility, that Kriegel is for sure one of the best, and if not the best paragliding pilots on the planet now. And I guess he's been playing in another league for many years. Really, it was somewhere else. I mean, it was so. I remember Kriegel taking a day off for his birthday in the middle of the X-Alps. You know, just today it's raining. I'm just gonna stay in my car and eat a piece of cake and and wait for tomorrow. So that's very hard when you're walking under the rain and you're still 500 kilometers behind. So Kriegel is the best. I mean, he's the best. But people are catching up, and people are improving, and also people are analyzing what he does and how he does it, and learning from him, which is great. I mean, every year we learn from the best. And guys like Maxime Pinot, guys like Paul Guschelbauer, Aaron, they're not so far that you would think. And as soon as he'll make a mistake, and because everyone can make a mistake, people will be there very close by. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's also very challenging for Kriegel to keep the pace. It's not easy for him. I mean, he doesn't want to give the spot away, you know. So, but again, all my respect to Kriegel. I think is a very talented pilot, and it's super interesting to watch him fly.
Perfect. Okay, so next question: what are your goals for the future?
It's an interesting question because, you know, I've been living out of paragliding for 10 years. Now I have 2 kids. I have a boat sailing around the world, and I'm doing different things. And I guess I'm becoming more an adventurer that does paragliding. in between other things than a paraglider pilot that does other things. You know, I guess it's like a love story. You know, that you have ups and downs, and now I'm still in the hub. I love paragliding so much and enjoy it, but I also want to do other things. And last year I started to play. I mean, for many years I've played with acro, but just a little bit. I've learned from Horacio, or when I travel with Theo, or you know, my friends that are pro acro pilots, and that's super exciting. That's another sport for me. So I want to do more of that. I want to do more of high mountain climbing and flying down with super light gliders. Small adventures like that I really enjoy. I want to go on more bivy flying also. So for the next years, I'm gonna do that. But also I have to keep in mind that now I have a family, you know, and I had my fair share of accidents. You know, I broke my back. I almost killed myself a few times. So I guess I see it a bit differently now. But for 3 years in a row, I had very heavy accidents, and so now it's time to get wise a little bit, or wiser. But yeah, and now I want to go back to paramotor a little bit. It can sound, sometimes it sounds funny. I mean, I hear a lot of people saying, well, but paramotor has nothing to do with bivy flying, or it's a different spirit, of course. But what you can do with paramotor to discover new places, to just travel around, it's amazing. Actually, one of my first adventure was with paramotor. It was, I left from Brussels here in Belgium, and I went all the way to Istanbul with a friend of mine, flying and landing in gas stations. You know, it was a bivy trip, but with a paramotor, sleeping in a tent and stuff. And I really enjoy that. So I think I'm going to take a paramotor in my boats next year, sail around with the paramotor, and hopefully fly as much as we can on the way. Yeah, that's the plan.
Sounds great. Good. Next questions. Did you have a situation during bivouac flying when food was over, no people around, and you needed to find some resources for nutrition? If yes, what did you do then?
Yeah, I had that a few times. I travel. You know what I say when I go on bivy trip? I always say light is right. You know, I say light is right. You should take as little as you need with you. And every time I pack my bag, I prepare everything. Then when I think it's ready, I open it, I take half of it out, and I go again, you know. And food has always been one concern because it's heavy. So when we were crossing New Zealand, for example, we had milk powder and porridge for the morning, Chinese pasta for midday, and then in the evening we would make like some dry food product stuff, you know. But also I was carrying a fly fishing rod because I love to go fly fishing. Yeah. I know it sounds funny, but it's super light. You have like the small fishing rods, super light ones. And as you may know, New Zealand is a paradise for fly fishing. It's one of the best places in the world. So we would land, go to the next river, catch a trout or two, and we would have enough protein. So now every time I go on a bivy trip where I know I'm going to find a river, I take my my fly fishing rod, and that can help. That can save you. But also you would soon realize that, I mean, you can resist with 2 days, at least 2-3 days without eating. So what I care more about is water, and I have a small water filter, very small one. And so I can just drink from any stream and not having to worry about the quality of the water. And worst case scenario, you just drink as much as you can and spend 2 or 3 days out there without food. That's okay. But in the Alps, I guess it's easy. You know, in the Alps, I travel with my credit card in the pocket, and we just stop in town. When we were traveling with Paul de Stubaicup and training for last X-Alps, we would actually choose to go and train in Italy just because the food is better there. And when you walk all day long, you burn so much calories, and you can just go crazy in the evening. So we were just doing tourists and eat really good food. That's the good side of it. Yeah, there's a lot of effort involved, but still you can enjoy it in the evening around a nice dinner. So yeah.
Cool, nice. So, what distance flying, hiking would you say a BV beginner should plan to do per day? Do you have any?
Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, I would say it really doesn't matter. I think people look too much on numbers. Really, like I understand the trend of looking at XC contest and things like that, and I understand that people want to, show off maybe a little bit and stuff. But at the end of the day, what matters is to have fun. I really enjoy myself to take off somewhere and just fly to the next mountain, land on top, have a swim in a lake, sleep there, and fly back down to the other side the next day. So first of all, just forget about the numbers. I would say the most important is just to go for it. The go for it attitude will bring you to the next level. To just say, well, today may not look like the best weather day, but it doesn't matter. It's not about kilometers, not about long distance. Let's just take off, see how far we go, land. Tomorrow we can hike up again. We can do it again and again and again. And that's how you learn. At the end of the day, the only way to gather experience is to experience. It's to spend time in the mountains, to just fly as much as you can and go for adventures. And people are sometimes scared, they think they have to be super well organized and everything has to be super planned. But the whole concept is there, actually. It's to just accept to say, I don't know where I'm going to sleep tonight. That doesn't matter. That's going to be okay. Look at the good weather window, I would say, if you're a beginner, without too much wind, which is one of the biggest danger of BV flying, because you know where you take off, you never really know where you land. So weather forecast without too much wind, a glider that you know, and that you can really easily land here and there in every conditions. Because I think people are really, I receive a lot of message of people and beginners actually telling me, wow, I guess I need a fast glider, I need this, I need that. And no, it's not about performance again. You can go on a bivy trip with a glider easily, and you can land anywhere, and then everything is going to be easier. So I would just say, just go for it. And also, what's interesting is that every time I did a bivy trip, we were looking at numbers. We were saying, okay, how many days are we going to take to cross a mountain range and things like that? And people would, look at the live tracking, and we would get stressed with it, and how people are thinking that we're slow. But then when you arrive at the end, you remember the whole adventure. You're like, oh, that would have been nice if it had been 2 or 3 days longer, always, because you enjoy yourself so much out there. So just take your time, take it easy, don't fly in crazy conditions, and enjoy the ride. Yeah, I would say.
Perfect. The next question is, when will your book come out in English?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, but I'm working on new books now. So I have many different ideas. And yeah, we have a book that came out in French because we had French clients here, and we made a deal with clients. But I wrote a book about where I make the links between entrepreneurship and adventuring, like going on adventures. Being an entrepreneur is being an adventurer. So it was a little bit, it started there. And the book went really well here in Belgium and in France. And we thought about making translating it, but I think we better come with a better book now. So we're just gonna go again for another book. We have also all sorts of books in mind, and I think it's gonna come soon. I'm working on it. When I spend a lot of time sailing, I take time to write a little bit. And last year I was crossing the Atlantic solo. I came back from the Caribbean alone across the Atlantic, and I had 31 days to kill. So I spend days writing, and I have some good stories to share. So yeah, I hope it will come soon.
Nice. Another question, how do you find funding for a film project?
That's a good question, and that's never easy. Well, first we started small, that's the most important. Again, I mean, I always say light is right, and it really applies to everything. when we did the first film, we were a group of passionate guys without budget, basically. I mean, when we went to Pakistan to make Karakol My Way, which was one of our best film, we were with two friends who wanted to discover Pakistan. They were working almost for free because we had no budget. We could only cover the cost of the traveling. And we were flying with 5D, Canon 5D above our heads, super heavy cameras. And what's interesting now, and what I've realized with years, is that if you go to any adventure film festival and you look at the winners and the best films and the films that people enjoy the most, it's most of the times low budget. It's most of the time real adventures, and I'd say to people who want to make films that at the end of the day, what really matters is that content is king. It's the story you tell. It's not really about how you tell it, because now everyone is able to make quality. We all have 4K, 8K in GoPros. It's stabilized. We have drones. With small budget, you can do a lot. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because what matters is how you tell the story and what kind of story you tell. And so I would start somewhere else. I would start with a powerful adventure. What is it that you want to tell? What is it that you want to show? And go on a real adventure, go on a big bivy trip where you meet people and then come back and tell the story. I think I will go with that. And actually you can do it with an iPhone and with a GoPro. You don't need much more than that. So, but then when you, to answer the question, how I found sponsors and stuff, what we do is we propose, sexy things to sponsors. We, for example, told to Volkswagen when we crossed Africa, we said, okay, we have a team with us. Maybe we can make a commercial for VW on the way. And so we got some fundings from our partners to produce content for them. And it has to be a win-win relation. The question is always not what you can take from them, but what you can give them. So if you know some brands, or if you think that they might need your help, it's interesting to go and talk to them and see what they might need. In my case, I studied communication and I did a master in movie directing and photography, so I knew more or less where I was going. But you can start from scratch and find sponsors. At the end of the day, what matters is to be a professional and to come back with content. If you make promises to your sponsors, you have to be true to your words. And that's why we see many professional athletes, they arrive and then they disappear 2 years later because they don't hold the distance, because they don't take it so professionally. And I think with some of the pilots that Theo de Bleek, Horacio Lorenz, some of the pros out there, they're there because they're professional. They have a very professional approach. And I think that's the way to make it, I guess.
Cool. So next question, then maybe a fun fact. How many times did you get arrested during your adventures?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I got arrested in Peru when I flew Machu Picchu. That was the first time. And actually that's how I kind of got in contact with Red Bull, because at the time I flew from Machu Picchu and I got arrested and they put me in jail. And then I had a contact at Red Bull through the RedBull X-Alps, and I knew that they had a team of people and some lawyers that could maybe help me to sort it out. So I called them and they found it was funny. They helped me out. And then they asked me if we wanted to do some more of this, So that's a story in the story. But that was the first time. But only in Africa. I think we got arrested, 8 or 9 times in Africa. In Ethiopia, we got arrested 5 times. One time, we were flying with Horacio and we took off at the border of Sudan. We took off, we flew into Ethiopia, and we flew above military base. And we were flying and we realized, oh shit, we're above military base. This is not good. But we thought, okay, it's a good day. We're going to fly a long distance. We're going to go a long way. No one is going to catch us. No big deal. So we kept on flying, but the conditions were not so good, or maybe the pilots, I don't know. We made a mistake. And 20 kilometers later, we landed and the militaries were waiting for us and they arrested us and they really thought we were spies. They were I mean, I got some kicks and stuff, you know, it was pretty violent. And they were always asking, where is the plane? Where is the plane? Because they would not understand, you know, they couldn't understand what is a paraglider. For them, we were skydivers, we jumped from a plane, and we were spies. So it was like in the movies, you know, they were like, okay, we know you're a spy. Tell us who you work for. That was super interesting, but that was quite intense. And then the next, I think 5 days later, we made a deal with the tourism office and the tourism minister to be able to fly in Ethiopia. And we had a paper with his stamps on it. And then we flew above a national park, but we had the authorization. We got arrested. The guys came with AK-47, and I swear Horacio almost got killed there, because he was just about to take off again, and he said to the guy, I don't mind, you know, I'm gonna take off anyway. We have the authorization. And the guy took his AK-47, charged it, and aimed at Horacio. So we had to calm him down a little bit. But then we gave him the paper and the authorization, and after 5 minutes, we realized that the guy was holding it upside down and he couldn't read. So you know, things like that, and it happened all the way in Africa. But we also got arrested in India, in Pakistan, pretty much everywhere. Yeah, we
didn't get arrested.
no, I guess all in all, like more than 12 or 13 times serious arrest. But we always say this with the search team. We say it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission, you know, because many of the flights that we've done would have been impossible if we had tried to get the right authorization. So we have to do a little bit of a guerrilla style, as we call it.
Okay, perfect. So the last question for this evening is, which adventures do you look up to?
There is really something I'd like to do, and it's been on my mind for many years, is to go to China. And mostly because in the Himalayas, you know, when you fly in Pakistan, as soon as you get a little bit high near Karimabad and all that area, you can see the mountains in China, and they're mind-blowing. No one has ever been flying there. It's also very high mountains, very big valleys, and I think that would make one of the best spots in the world to fly BV. But now it's forbidden for many years. I mean, they have lots of military bases and stuff, and I think it's going to be complicated to get there. Iran is also high on my list. I'd love to go to Iran and fly there. But yeah, I mean, every adventure and every flight is interesting. Last year, for example, I came back after many years. I spent some time here in Belgium and flying in the flatlands, and we had beautiful flights. I think in 5 days we covered, I don't know, many kilometers. One day we left from the north of France, crossed Belgium, and landed in Germany. And these kind of flights are amazing too. So I think any type of adventure is exciting. What is true is that it's complicated times at the moment, and I think everyone gets a little bit frustrated with this COVID situation. And I'm so looking forward to that the borders open again and we can just move around freely and just go on long distance flight without worrying about it. That's my next hope, basically.
Yeah, and we got one more last questions. When will you do search projects in USA?
Yeah, that's also been on the list for a while. And actually last year we were thinking about taking the search boat, because we crossed the Atlantic last year. We were in the Caribbean, and the plan was actually to go back up to the States and then to Canada with the boat and bring the team and fly. So, but then the plan changed with the situation, with the pandemic. But it's on the list for sure. I mean, the USA, it's probably one of the best places to fly. They have lots of big mountains there. I've been talking with Gavin McLeod many times, and seeing what those guys do is amazing there. So I think it'd be interesting, and I think it's also quite a nice adventure, even if they're really civilized. I've heard that you cannot land everywhere in the States. You know, they're pretty serious about private properties and stuff like that. So you got to be careful. But yeah, that would be amazing. I have lots of American friends, and I would really like to go. But also, you realize that here in Europe, we are in the best place. I mean, in one of the best places in the world, and we sometimes forgive that this is the best playground. The Alps, actually, the Stubai area. It's not to mention Stubai, but it's really. I've been flying there for a while, and I've come to the festival many times, of course. But this is one of the best places to fly, and there's so much to discover. And we are lucky to be in Europe, to have so many different cultures. You cross a mountain range, you're in Italy, you go again, you get to Austria, to Slovenia. It's incredible. So I think there's still a lot to do here in Europe before to go further. And I think that this season it's going to be amazing. I have a good feeling about this spring. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, we hope so. So, Tom, it was a really big pleasure for us to having you here tonight. It was really awesome. You're a very impressive person. And
thank you.
Thanks for the awesome shots you showed us. It's really mind-blowing for us.
Thank you. No, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. And yeah, thank you guys to make this happen. I mean, I guess it's not easy to have to postpone the events, but it's so cool to be online and to still be able to share the passion. So thank you very much for all you do. And yeah, and let's catch up soon for sure next year. But maybe we see each other before in Saint-Hilaire, Cupica, or whatever, which festival, or just flying. That'd be nice.
It would be nice.
Excellent.
Nice. Next year, the Stubaicup will take place from the 4th until the 6th March 2022. Okay. So
save the date.
Save the date. You're very welcome here. And
yeah, I'll be there. You can count on me. Really, I'll be there. I'll come. I come almost every year. So yeah, I'll be there. And hopefully we have good weather. You guys are normally very lucky with the weather. How is the weather up there at the moment?
Today they flew about 5 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, this is incredible.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's something special with Stubaicup because every time I come, it's beautiful weather. So yeah. Next year. Okay, noted.
We will see.
Thank you very much again, and have a great evening. And we catch up very soon.
Thank you, and greetings to your wife and to your children, and congrats.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Bye, Tom.
Thank you very much. Bye. Take care. Ciao, ciao.